So you applied for a job online, or maybe you handed in a resume, and now your prospective employer have called you up for an interview. Congratulations, you have passed one of the biggest hurdles. Now we are going to be faced with another big hurdle, which is to pass the job interview. So to make it easier, we will cover some of the most commonly asked part-time job interview questions that you might come across here in Australia. And make sure to stick around till the end of the video, as I will give you an important tip that many international students do not follow in their job application process, especially after their job interviews. And that might be costing them job opportunities. And I'm sure you don't want to miss out that. So without further wasting any time, let's get into the video. Now before you go for a job interview, here are a few things that you need to do before going for the interview itself. The first thing will be to do some research. And this research will be about the business who have called you up for an interview. So I suggest you to go and research on the website of the company or the business who have called you up. You can research about their product or services, what things are they selling. For example, if it is a restaurant, then it might be a good idea for you to look at their menu to see what sort of products and services they are selling and how much they're charging to their customers for their products and services. It's also a good idea to know a little bit about the management of the company. So who's who in the company, for example, owners, manager, or hiring person who might be doing your interview. It might be a good idea for you to look them up either on the website of the company itself or on a LinkedIn and other general information about the business itself. It might be a good idea for you to go through with the job ad again, just to make sure that you understand the requirements for this specific job. Apart from doing your research, I also suggest that you dress professionally when you're going for a job interview here in Australia. Although if it is a part-time or a casual job, I do not suggest you to dress too formally. A shirt, it could be black or white color with a black band, and a formal shoes will be good enough. And if you are a female, then you might consider doing something similar as well, with a black or white shirt and a matching black pants with that. Or you can wear a black or white dress as well. Just make sure that it looks professional enough. And the next part will be about the meeting and greeting. So you rock up to the venue where the job interview will be held, and of course you will be doing the meeting and greeting with the hiring manager. It's a good idea to do a firm handshake when you're meeting someone here in Australia, and make sure to have a genuine smile on your face, and in general just show some good manners as well, especially when meeting and while during the interview as well. Now let's say you have settled in, and now the fun starts, which is the interview questions. So usually the interview can last anywhere from few minutes to half an hour or so. Especially for part-time jobs, it may not be that long, but these are some of the most commonly asked questions that you might come across when you're going for job interview for a part-time job. The first one and the most common question is, tell me about yourself. And as you can expect, there are a million ways to answer this question. And if you go on YouTube, there are plenty of videos that talk specifically about how to address this question. So here is what I do when I get asked this question. I usually first of all talk a little bit about myself, and I do it on purpose because I want to make that personal connection with the person who's interviewing. And a lot of times when I talk something specific about myself, it helps for other person to know a little bit about me and build that personal connection as well. So usually I would say, my name is Sam. I'm currently studying Masters of Accounting course from Deakin University. I arrived in Australia 4 weeks back. I'm currently looking for a part-time job in the hospitality industry, as I've got some work experience in the industry back home. And I've also done some formal training and certifications in the hospitality industry. You can also add some of your previous work experience here as well, which should be directly relevant to the job you're applying for. So for example, if you're applying for hospitality job, ideally you should be talking about your hospitality work experience, or if you have any specific qualifications related to that industry itself. So you can say something like this: back in my home country, I have worked in a restaurant for more than 2 years. My job was in the front of house, where I was responsible for meeting and greeting with people, helping them to settle, taking their orders, and also taking their payments. Now don't go for too long. Ideally you should wrap up the answer within 1 minute, but if you go less than that, that's okay as well. Now if you did not answer this question, the follow-up question question by the interviewer usually is, tell me your previous work experience. So if you answer that previous question, tell me about yourself, and you explained about your work experience, they may not ask you this question, but if you did not, they may ask this follow-up question. Now here, obviously you have a chance to explain about your previous work experience. If it was back home overseas, that's perfectly fine as well. You need to mention that how long you worked for, what sort of job role you were involved in, and what were some of your responsibilities in that job role was. Now, as a student, you might also be wondering that I do not have a lot of work experience. What should I say in that case? My suggestion would be not to lie at all, because if you do, then your manager may ask you to do some trial and they can quickly see if you actually know how to work or not. So I do not suggest you to do that. In case you don't have any work experience, I suggest you to first of all look for some volunteer work. There are many volunteer organizations like Salvation Army or some churches or some other religious organizations that actively look for volunteers. You can do some volunteer experience in these organizations in different departments as well. And usually Australian employers appreciate that if you have got some volunteer experience. So if you don't have a lot of experience, you can say something like this. I regularly volunteer for Salvation Army's kitchen and I help them with the cooking, planning the menu, or doing other activities as per your job role. Now again, do not lie here. Talk about only the things that you're currently responsible for in that volunteer experience or volunteer role. And if you don't have a lot of experience, you can also mention something like this, that although I do not have a lot of work experience, but I'm a very quick learner. If you give me instructions, I can follow them fairly quickly and can learn and adapt quickly as well. And I'm more than happy to prove that with some sort of a trial if you give me an opportunity to do so. So that was about the work experience. The follow-up question could be regarding why you are interested in this role. So here the interviewer will try to understand that why you have applied for this job role. Is your current experience or previous experience meeting the job requirements, and try to understand that in detail. So here you have to talk about that why you are interested and what made you apply for this job role. As I said, it could be about your previous work experience, some skills, or maybe the training or education relevant to the job role. So you can say something like, I'm really interested in this job because I've got previous work experience that matches the requirement in this job itself. As mentioned in the job ad, that there is a requirement of someone with an excellent customer service. As mentioned in my resume, I have got a decent experience in customer service, and in my previous job role, I managed to get Star of the Month award specifically for my customer service skills. Again, do not make up the answers if you haven't got any star award, but ideally it is a good idea to emphasize on what skills, experience are matching relevant to that job role itself. The next follow-up question could be, have you got any formal training or certification in this industry? So if you have got some specific formal training, qualification, educational background, or some certifications, you need to mention here in this part. So for example, in hospitality industry, many times you might be required to have an RSA certificate or maybe RSG certificate, or sometimes food handling certificate as well. If you want to know some of the most popular short courses, we have got them on our website as well. There's a list of a few short courses that you can do in hospitality or in some other industries as well. We also have a link to the providers where you can actually do these courses as well. So please check the short courses for international student link in the description box below for more details regarding that. So to answer that question, you can say something like, I have recently completed my RSA certificate and I have also got a food handling certificate as well. That really helps me to understand better about hospitality industry and regulations in Australia. Sometimes having these certifications can actually help you to land a job as well. The next follow-up question would be, why do you want to work here? What makes you choose this business or this organization? So again, the answers can vary depending upon the situation. There could be multiple reasons why you want to work in this specific organization. It could be that it's closer to your home, or it might be because it matches your work availability or your study or around your university time frames, or again, your experience, or maybe because of the organization itself as well. So you can say something like, I recently came across across your business. As I live nearby, I usually walk past this venue a lot and I find it always buzzing with people, and a lot of your staff members seems to be doing really well and they seem to be very happy. So I assume the work culture in this place is quite nice. And ideally, if you have read some reviews about the company, you can also mention that as well, that I've read few reviews about your organization and many of the customers are praising about how good is the customer service in this workplace. Just to give you further context, you can also read the reviews about the organization or employers on websites like Seek or Glassdoor as well. So while doing your research, it might be a good idea for you to read the reviews about the prospective employers as well, especially those who are calling you up for an interview. The next follow-up question could be regarding your availability. So tell me about your availability. Here you have to mention when you are actually available for work. It could be in the mornings, afternoons or evenings, or during the weekdays or weekends. Providing as much availability as you can will help your chances for getting that job. So you can say something like, on Monday and Tuesday I have got a university in the morning, but I am available to work in the evenings on those days. Apart from that, I'm available anytime between Wednesday to Sunday for morning, afternoons or evenings. Now, these were some of the commonly asked questions, but there could be many other questions the employer could ask. For example, if it's a customer service oriented role, they may ask you questions like, how do you handle customer complaints? Or how do you handle difficult customers? What does excellent customer service means to you? How do you work in a team environment? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what are your long-term goals? These are some of the other questions that you could be asked. If you want to know more questions, we will leave them in the description box below as well. So go through these questions and try to possibly think of some answers that you can prepare beforehand before going for any job interview. As we are nearly reaching the end of the video, here is that important tip that I mentioned earlier. This is something that many international students unfortunately do not do, and they miss out on the job opportunities. And that tip is about follow up. Follow up is basically, once you have gone for a job interview, it is a good idea to follow up with the interviewer or the manager to see how is your job application progressing. And if they have any outcomes about the job application, will be great for you to know about as well. And when you are following up with any employer, it shows your interest of working with that employer. So what I suggest you to do after the interview is over, maybe on the same day or a day after, you can send them a message. You should definitely be thanking them for a time they have given you for an interview and showing your genuine interest for working with them in the near future. So please make sure to follow up after the job interview. And if you are someone who is really interested in working in hospitality job roles, what I suggest you to do is check this video here. Here we give you a complete guide about working in hospitality job roles. We also have a complete guide regarding retail jobs and warehousing jobs on our channel as well. So make sure to check them out in the description box below. Click on this video here and I'll see you there.